The morning Karen tried to evict me from my own dock, I stood there with a coffee in my hand, watching the sun break across the lake while she screamed that I had 24 hours to vacate or face fines. 24 hours to give up the dock I built with my own two hands. But what Karen didn't know, what made me smile behind my mug, was that before the day was over, she'd be the one losing something precious. Not me. Her. Because while she came for my dock, I was about to take her boat. My name's Jack. I'm 58, semi-retired after decades in construction, and I thought I'd finally found peace when I bought this lakeside home. It wasn't the fanciest place on the shoreline, but it was mine. Every nail in that dock, every board, every blister on my hands came from me. That dock wasn't just wood stretched over water, it was freedom. It was the place I taught my grandkids how to tie knots, where I sat in the fog with hot coffee, where I let the stress of 35 years drift away. I thought neighbors would be the cherry on top, borrowing tools, sharing pies, waving hello. And for the most part, they were. Everyone except Karen. Karen wasn't the type you could ignore. Mid-40s, overdressed for a lake community, always strutting around with her clipboard like it was a crown. She wasn't just on the HOA board, she was the HOA. Her lipstick was as loud as her voice, and both carried across the water like a bullhorn. She policed mailboxes, lawns, shutters, you name it. And parked right out front of her pristine magazine cover house was her pride and joy, a massive gleaming boat polished like a diamond that always managed to drift a little too close to my dock. So when she came marching down that morning, oversized sun hat, shading her scowl, waving violation papers in my face, I knew the storm had arrived. She barked, "This dock is unauthorized. You have 30 days or it's gone," I told her calmly. "County approved, signed, inspected. I've got the paperwork." But Karen just smiled that thin, smug smile and said, "The HOA standards are higher." She turned on her heel like a general leaving the battlefield. That was just the beginning. My mailbox turned into a dumping ground for letters. Failure to maintain aesthetics. Improper lawn edging. Unapproved furniture. It felt like I was being fined for breathing too loud. And every letter had her signature at the bottom, that smug little flourish. She'd circle the lake in her boat like a shark, parking it against my dock, laughing when I couldn't even launch my kayak without scraping fiberglass. She even called the sheriff, claiming my dock was unsafe. The deputy bounced on the planks, then shook his head. "Jack, this thing's sturdier than most bridges. Sorry to waste your time." I tried reason. I brought my folder of permits to the next HOA meeting, slid them across the table. Karen didn't even glance down. She tapped her pen, smiled sweetly, and said, "Legal doesn't always mean compliant." The room nodded along, half afraid, half indifferent, and I felt my blood boil. That's when the whispers started. I caught her gesturing toward my house, planting seeds of doubt. Soon neighbors looked at me differently, cautious, like I was the community troublemaker. One night I sat on the dock with my fishing pole, and her boat was parked so close I could touch it. I cast a line tangled on her railing and muttered curses under my breath while her laughter floated over from her porch. That was the moment the weight hit me. Maybe I was fighting a battle I couldn't win. Maybe I should just tear it down, avoid the hassle. For a while I believed it. Sitting there with the water lapping at my feet, I felt small, powerless, like one man couldn't stand against her clipboard army. But then stubbornness kicked in. I'd spent a lifetime on construction sites dealing with screaming bosses, picky inspectors, clients trying to stiff me. I'd survived storms worse than Karen. I wasn't about to hand over my piece because she liked playing queen. So I opened the thick binder of HOA bylaws, flipping through the boring legal language most people never read. And that's when I found it. All watercraft must be registered with the HOA and county authorities. My eyebrows shot up. Registered? What if hers wasn't? The next morning I went to the county clerk's office. Beige walls, buzzing lights, tired clerks. I handed over Karen's address and asked about her boat. The clerk tapped keys, frowned, and turned the monitor. No record. I walked out of that office grinning so wide strangers probably thought I'd won the lottery. And it didn't stop there. The bylaws also required pre-approval for dock extensions. Karen's dock was practically a pier with a seating area bigger than mine, and I knew I'd never seen a vote in any meeting minutes. I checked nothing. Not once had it been approved. Then Bob, my quiet neighbor, shuffled over one night and whispered, "Jack, you know that corner of shoreline Karen uses, it's HOA property, not hers. Keeping her boat there's against the rules." It was like dominoes falling. Unregistered boat, unauthorized dock, storing property on HOA land. Karen wasn't just bending rules, she was drowning in violations. I spent days gathering proof. Photos, measurements, county records, timestamps. I hired a lawyer, Marcy, who specialized in property law. She flipped through my binder and said, "Jack, not only can we defend your dock, but technically under HOA rules her boat can be impounded." My jaw dropped. Impounded. The same weapon she used against me could be turned right back on her. But I knew I couldn't go it alone. Karen's power came from intimidation, from making people feel isolated. So I talked to neighbors at Bob's Grill over coffee with the Martins, even at the bait shop. I told them about the unregistered boat, the illegal dock, the HOA land. At first they hesitated. Then the stories poured out. She fined one family for having shutters too cheerful, another for a bird feeder, another for wind chimes. Everyone had a scar from Karen's reign. And with proof in my hands, the fear in their eyes slowly turned into relief. The next HOA meeting was her stage. She strutted in navy suit, clipboard clutched like a scepter, lips painted fire engine red. She tapped the mic, cleared her throat, and launched into her performance. "Neighbors, we cannot allow Mr. Jack's unsafe dock to remain. I propose legal action." Her loyalists clapped. The rest shifted uncomfortably. I sat still, binder on my lap, waiting. She paraded photos of my dock angled to look crooked, her voice dripping with false concern. And then I rose, calm, steady. "Karen, you're right. Rules matter. They apply to everyone." I walked to the front and flipped open the binder. "But your dock. No approval in the minutes. Violation. Your boat. Not registered with the county. Violation. And here photos of it tied on HOA land. Another violation." Gasps rippled through the room. Neighbors leaned forward, whispering, eyes wide. Karen's smile faltered. She slammed her clipboard. "This is irrelevant. A distraction." I leaned in, voice low but cutting. "It's absolutely relevant. You've spent months humiliating me while breaking more rules than anyone else here. You don't care about standards, Karen. You care about control." And that's when the knock came at the door. 2 men in polo shirts walked in carrying clipboards. "Excuse us, we're here for the boat impound." The room froze. Karen shot to her feet, face pale. "What?" "No, you can't." She ran to the door, blocking them. "That boat is mine." The taller man held up paperwork. "Unregistered vessel, filed under HOA Enforcement Authority." Karen spun toward me, eyes wild. "You did this." I lifted my coffee and took a slow sip. "I didn't do anything, Karen. The rules did." The neighbors followed as the tow crew walked to the shoreline. Karen screamed, heels sinking in the grass, mascara streaking as they hooked her boat. "This is theft. Do you know who I am?" she shrieked. The truck rolled away with her beloved prize, and for the first time, she wasn't the queen. She was just another neighbor, powerless, standing in the dirt. And me, I stood on my dock, coffee in hand, watching her crown tumble. Bullies rise on fear. They fall the second someone stops being afraid.